Welcome back, guys, to Andy's Mini Adventures, where today we're going to be looking at changing the oil on my 1980, that's a bit wobbly, on my 1984 Classic Mini. Going to involve running her, jacking her up, draining the oil, new filters, etc., and then hoping it all works out fine. So there's a few things you're going to need for this oil change. First and foremost, get yourself a tray to catch the old oil. You're going to need a funnel, obviously, to pour the new oil in. Need a decent sized spanner. This is a 15/16, I think that's right, for taking off the old oil sump plug. We're going to need a new oil filter. This one is from Mini Spares. It came as part of a set with this 20W50 oil that is Mini Spares' own. Not used it before, I've used Miller's. This is a first time for me, so we'll see how that goes. And I've also got, this is just part of the course really, a new copper washer because we don't know the condition of the one that's coming off. Also, you're going to need some way to jack the car because we're going to get under the car a little bit easier, so we're going to need some jacking devices.
Try and get the car as level as you can when jacking. If anything, slightly tip the nose down to help guide the oil to the front of the sump.
Okay, the engine's been run, which means she's nice and warm. Also, I've jacked her up. Going to do a separate video on that because there are definitely some knacks to getting this thing in the air. She's now on axle stands. I've got a bit more access to the sump plug and also other points around the car that I can do a quick inspection of while she's up in the air. So before I drain the oil, I'm going to make sure I can get access to the oil filter. It doesn't look like I can get to it underneath. Through the top's not easily done, so I'm probably going to go through the grill. So I'm just going to take off all these screws and stuff and see how much wiggle room I've got. Now you can just see in there, that's a lovely slow zoom. Look at that. There's the oil filter down here. Let's have a look at draining the oil. So here's the plug, just here. And I've already loosened it off. So now I'm just going to be ready. It's going to start spewing out, and I want to make sure is that I catch it in the tray. There she goes. Now the really cool thing about these sump plugs when you take them out is these ones, the reason they're so expensive is they're kind of magnetized and they'll pick up all the bits of debris that are found in the bottom of the oil sump. So the filter's being a little bit of a pig to get out, so I've had to use a tool like this, basically a big strap with a socket on the end that you can basically tighten and tighten and tighten, and as you twist you get a really good purchase all the way around, and then you can use it as leverage. Pull it to twist. There you go, you see it coming? There we go. So before I take this off, I'm going to plug up the sump underneath so that I can use the oil drip tray there to put the old filter in. So I'm just about to put the sump plug back in. I've given it a little bit of a clean up. We're going to put a new washer on it as well and get that in ready to start filling up and also take the old oil filter off. So the plug is back in. The washer is as uniform as I can get it around that. You don't have to massively tighten these up. They kind of bite really well as it goes, so I've just made sure it's nice and secure. Now let's get the filter off.
Hold. Hold.
There we go. Now she comes. So there you can see the old oil filter is out. I've dunked it in the old oil for now, just under here. That's because also the housing at the top there will drip a bit of oil that's still left in the system into the drip tray. Okay, so now we need to fill up this new filter after we've got the old one off. I don't know if you do need to fill them, but I think it's a good thing to do just because you know that the oil is all the way at the bottom and you've done it correctly in terms of, you know, put a bit of oil around the rubber seal at the top, which helps the two surfaces mate and makes them lovely and tight. So I could try and pour this whole thing into it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to decant it into this first, just to give me a bit more control over what's going on. So I filled this up to the bottom of the thread where it screws in to the top of the mount, and I'm just going to get a little bit of this oil, smear it around this O-ring here, like this. He's ready to go on the car now. Now's the time. Now remember, when you put these in, the thread is the opposite way around because you're working from above the car. If you were working underneath the car, it would be righty-tighty, but basically this way around, I need to go left to tighten. So I'm going to use my little tool again.
Don't over-tighten that new filter. It could damage it.
And there you go. New filter installed. So I have reassembled the grill, and now I am going to start filling up. Now again, I'm not going to use the big jug. I'm going to use a little jug and just count how many litres I'm putting in at a time.
These cars take just under 5 litres of oil.
I'm going to keep doing that and then periodically check the dipstick. Okay, so I've put in 4 litres, just over maybe a little bit, and it's reading between minimum and maximum, about the halfway point. So now I'm going to disconnect the coil so that the spark plugs won't fire. I'm going to crank the engine a few times. Now, in the Midget, you used to have a Smith's oil pressure gauge, and you'd crank the engine and you'd start to see the oil pressure build up. You're like, we're all nice and sealed and gorgeous. In this, there's just an oil pressure light. So I'm going to crank the engine a few times and see if that oil pressure light goes out. Oil pressure light has gone out. So that means we've got oil pressure. Whoop, 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 whoop. So, oil change on a classic Mini done. After the cranking, I'm going to leave her now to let all the oil sit to the bottom, double check the dipstick and top up if necessary, but other than that, she's good to go. I'll also double check the sump plug and around the oil filter, make sure there's nothing spilling out where it shouldn't. But that's all very exciting. What can I say except see you next time? Bye-bye.